listen, never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There are a few people on the planet I would want to be talking to more than Sammy from Play Tessie. But I know this. Actually, I take that back. There's nobody on the planet I'd rather be talking to than Sammy and Play Tessie. And there's certainly nobody on the planet and beyond, all the way to Mars. If I was stuck on Mars like Matt Damon, right? I would say,
Martian.
just give me, thank you, the Martian. And I can do that with you, unlike your co-host to Play Tessie, who, Gordo, who I had quizzed, said, hey, Gordo, a photo was taken of Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau. Do you know who those people are? What do you think his response was?
No, come on. He knows who.
No,
those
what do you
two
think
are.
his response was?
Did he think Justin Trudeau was like an artist, some sort of like singer or something?
Close.
Baseball player, athlete?
I mean, he wasn't that far off. He knew who Katy Perry was, or at least he said he did. He said Justin Trudeau was the Prime Minister of England. And then he said, to make matters worse, he said, it sounds English. No, it sounds French.
Hey, to his credit, at least he got the, he's a politician aspect correct.
Yeah, and he got Katy Perry, so we're making progress. He also didn't know what the word guffaw meant. So
guffaw? Isn't that when you just kind of guffaw? Isn't that like a mistake?
No.
What's guffaw?
Ask your girlfriend what guffaw means. She there?
Okay. What does guffaw mean? Like a big laugh?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, she got it. Smarter than I am.
I know. Well, we'll get you that, guys, there. My guffaw came up because I said, from what I understand, the Tarik Skubal camp, which is also the Scott Boras camp, guffawed at the Tigers' offer for him. So, offer the extension. That's the topic of today. Because, like I said, if I was on Mars, I didn't complete my Mars statement. If I was on Mars and I was forced with all I could do all day long, harvest potatoes out of my own feces and think about fake trades, the person and people that I would want to help me get through that process, through that weird communication system they had, I would have all kinds of patience for the communication from Mars to Earth if I knew that you guys were doing the fake trades for me. That would get me through my ordeal.
The potatoes, you never know. They might be the best potatoes ever. And then
I say, you got to wait for them to harvest in the feces, though.
That's true. Yeah, it's probably going to smell bad.
Did you see the movie The Martian?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're referencing. I didn't think the potatoes looked, terrible.
No. The feces have nothing to do with how they smell. You need them to grow.
Yeah, it's like manure.
Thank you.
Yeah. You think Gordo knows what manure is?
No, he would have to look it up, and he would spell it wrong. But as I told him, I said, this is what I love about him, that this guy, all he knows is baseball, how to make his wife happy, and his family. The big three. That's it. That's all that matters.
He knows fantasy football because he helped me with my draft, and my team, for the first time ever, is doing well because I'm not a good football mind, but Gordo really.
All right.
We're not great, but he helped.
Okay. Well, all I know is this. You are good at a lot of things. But I know this, you are good at fake trades. And we went back, we actually talked about this. The Tarik Skubal, which is the fake trade that we're going to do, the Who Says No we're going to do today. Tarik Skubal, people forget, and I didn't even remember this until I started jogging my memory, Sammy, about it. People forget that Tarik Skubal was a fake trade guy during the All-Star break of 2024. You know how I remember? Because I went up and asked him about it.
And everyone was out on the Tigers at that point. They hadn't heated up yet.
Right. And so I asked him about it. And think about that. He was still a couple of years out. That was when you should have traded for him. If you were a smart team, you would have been like, I'm going to blow you away for Tarik Skubal back then. Now, too late. Too late. You're going to have to blow him away at a whole nother level.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think when people see the trade I'm about to propose, they're going to think I'm insane. But I'll explain it, and it'll make sense once I explain it.
And the last thing before I get to the Tarik Skubal, your who says no fake trade, I wanted, because we're doing probably a 30 for 30 on the Play Tessie podcast, the Who Says No's. And we were talking about how the White Sox were sort of the launching pad for like just almost every fake trade. Dylan Cease and all these guys.
Crochet. Yeah.
Crochet. And I think that
Lou Bob was the biggest one.
Well, Lance Lynn was like maybe the first one we ever did, right?
Big body.
But were you the one, or was it Pat or Gordo, who called Luis Robert for the first time?
I think that was Pat. Pat is really smart, but pronunciation gets him sometimes.
He's a doctor. Yeah.
Literally is a doctor, but the pronunciation aspect of stuff.
You think
sometimes
when he says,
him.
when he diagnosed a sports hernia, he says sports hernia? And
sports hernia.
The hernia.
Look, I'm just trashing my two co-hosts when they're not here.
You're not trashing them. This is all endearing things, all endearing stuff.
Beautiful.
So, all right. Well, let's do this. Who says no for Tarik Skubal, who we should remind everybody has 1 year left on his deal. It's probably going to win the Cy Young in the American League. Only advanced the conversation of his awesomeness with the postseason, all of it. He's never been in a better spot. No, probably. I would say arguably. Well, no. I mean, if you could, let me do this real quick before you get to the Who Says No. And I'm sorry to waste your time with this.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Not a waste.
But I always like talking. Tarik Skubal. Forget about contract. I know that I hate saying that, but forget about contract. Tarik Skubal for Paul Skeens.
I was about to ask you before I proposed the trade that we can have a mutual agreement before I get going that Skubal, Skeens, and Crochet are in their own class. I would include Wheeler if he wasn't hurt, but those three right now are in a class of their own. And I think if I had to pick who's number one, I would put Skeens by the slightest of margins.
Yeah, so this is basically like power ranking pitchers right now.
Yes.
So you would put Skeens number one?
Skeens, Skubal, Crochet, and they're separated by barely anything. They're very, very close.
Okay. All right. That's how I should have phrased it. Power ranking. So, all right. But my point is that Tarik Skubal is really good. He has a year left on his contract. And, yeah. So it is worth the conversation of a Who Says No, because this is the thing, Sammy. You have to, if you're the Tigers, and we say this about every team, if you're in this situation, you're the Tigers, you have to say, Tarik Skubal and Scott Boras, this is the absolute best we can do. Right? His value...
Contract-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that they got maybe going for them is that it's not going to get any better than this. Like, it's hard to see him being better than this, other than maybe winning a World Series. I don't know next year. But
I mean, yeah, he's everything you dream on.
You know what the ceiling is, and this is it. So this is the absolute best we can do. And if they say, sorry, you're not even close, okay, that's cool. That's good. You know what we're going to have to do? We have to turn to Sammy, the Play Tessie guys. We're going to have to find a good trade partner and a good trade. That's what you're here for. And in this case, the team that they're turning to is the New York Metropolitans.
The New York Mets.
Mets. All right. Yeah, gotcha.
Sorry, producer Evan, if you hear this.
Yeah, producer. Sorry. I don't think you understand. That
They're a
Reed
mess.
Garrett signed poster in back of him at every single podcast.
The only thing behind them.
It's of all the things that I have not lived up to in my life, not living up to getting a better backdrop for producer Evan is one of my biggest shortcomings of all time.
That's one of my favorite bits.
The poor
He's just
guy
in like a
started.
plain
The
room.
poor guy, and he's going to listen to this whole podcast, and I hope he gets a good guffaw from it. But the whole thing started when he was doing the podcast with a blank white wall. So his answer to that was a Reed Garrett sign poster in back.
That's so funny.
The thing is, Sammy, I have the perfect thing. I have this big neon Mets, like St. Pauli's girl type sign to plug in behind him. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. How big?
I don't know. I looked it on eBay. Who knows? Could be
Oh,
like.
I thought you had it.
No.
I thought you literally had it.
No.
Okay.
It could be feet,
All
could
right.
be inches. Spinal Tap reference.
Hey.
All right. Anyway, New York Metropolitans, you have the money. Steve Cohen's your owner. He says, I'm sorry, Met fans, we won't let you down. We have Juan Soto. We're not going to waste him. We have these young pitchers. We have what it takes. All of it. We're going to come get your guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead.
So the issue here is that the Tigers, less than a week ago, as we speak here on Monday, October 13th, we're in the playoffs. So they're a good team. They're a young team that's probably going to be even better in 2026. So the idea of trading Tarik Skubal probably revolts them entirely. So please keep that in mind. And by the way, the Trade Machine app page, I love it. It does not apply at all for this trade. So here it is. The Mets get Tarik Skubal, nothing else. The Tigers, you ready for this?
Yeah. Hold on.
Holding.
Does one of the guys rhyme with McMahon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And we're going to end the conversation if it didn't. Honestly.
You know what's tough is actually there's two names in this trade that I'm going to struggle. It's first one, Nolan McLean. McLean. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Rhymes
McMahon.
with-
Yeah, rhymes with McMahon.
Nolan McLean.
Yeah.
All right. So Nolan McLean, great pitching prospect this year, 48 innings, 2.8 ERA, 2.08 ERA, 10.7 K through 9. Nasty. Very young too, 24. Along with him, Jet Williams, who a lot of people think is the Mets' number one prospect, 21-year-old shortstop. He's going to be MLB ready next year, most likely. Great defense, great speed. He can hit. A little undersized, but it hasn't stopped him yet. Next one, Carson Benge, Benge.
Bench.
All right, it was close. Carson Benge, a guy who wasn't a huge prospect heading into 25, more of a good prospect, but he flew up the charts. So he's the big riser. I wanted two premier prospects, one big riser up the charts. And then David Peterson, another pitcher who, all-star this year, kind of fell off in the second half, but he's the guy, the Tigers, who plan on contending in 2026, whether they make this fake trade or not, they can plug into the rotation. He'll help them out. So I know the reaction from Mets fans is going to be, this is an insane overpay. Yes, absolutely it is. That is the only way you're going to pry arguably the best pitcher in the world from a team that is contending. And on top of that, Bradford, you mentioned Steve Cohen. A guy like Steve Cohen, imagine what he would do with that exclusive negotiating window that he would have after the 2026 season. So call me crazy all you want. Call it an overpay. I'm calling it an overpay from the Mets perspective. It might not even be enough for Tarik Skubal. If anything, that's how good this guy is. And there's no reason at all for the Tigers to trade him. And I don't want to hear, it's an expiring contract. The point of playing baseball is to win the World Series. And the Tigers next year are going to be set up to do just that. There's a lot of guys coming off the IL for them too. Olsen, Job, you can go on. So maybe they'll think about it, but I think there's close to zero chance that the Tigers move Tarik Skubal. And Bradford, it'll peek behind the curtain. Bradford wanted me to come up with multiple trade partners. The only one I could think of is the Mets, because they're nuts and they operate like they're nuts. So one more time, Tarik Skubal to the Mets. shortstop Jet Williams, starting pitcher Nolan McLean, outfield Carson Benj, and starting pitcher 30 years old David Peterson to the Tigers. Who says no?
All right. I'm applauding you because you understand the spirit of the thing.
Got the assignment.
This is go hard or go home. It's going to get uncomfortable and it's going to get unrealistic. And you're right. Mets fans will be like, that's too much. Because you know
Can I
what?
say something real quick?
Hold on.
Real quick. You said it's going to get unrealistic. Unrealistic is the only realistic scenario for a Tarik Skubal trade. I just had to get that cool quote out there. Thank you. Sorry for
hold on. Let me write that down. I'll put it on the
Yep.
bumper stickers. Okay. Marking timestamp. Okay.
Yep. Unrealistic. Yeah.
Unrealistic.
Write that down.
So
Yep.
the Mets people will say, oh, look, we have our Tarik Skubal. We have him in Nolan McLean. Right? No. Just hold on. I'm telling you, like, this is what's unrealistic about this.
Mhm.
Right? And so then you're going to give up all these guys. You're going to give up the top position prospect and Jet Williams. You're going to give up Carson Bench, who is potentially another guy who is going to be a really, really good major leaguer. And you're going to give up David Peterson, who, by the way, was an all-star.
Mm-hmm. All-star.
Give up all those guys for a guy with 1 year.
Mhm.
1 year. And
Mhm.
and they're going to say, and what they're going to say, I'm just telling you what they're going to say. They're going to say, this is a deal that maybe you do if you have 2 years of control, not 1, 2 years. This is the original Juan Soto deal. This is the Crochet deal. This is it. But 1 year, it's too much. But to your point, and obviously a lot of this hinges on this. You have to say, hey, we're gonna blow you away, and we're gonna sign the guy. You have to be able to sign the guy. It hinges on that. But what you have to understand is that, and what you said it yourself, and I think I TM'd this, so you owe me $5. The goal is to win the World Series. Let's not lose sight of that. The goal is to win the World Series. And to have that guy, that alpha, the guy who is unlike almost anybody else on the planet. And I said this to Gordo. In this day and age of pitching too, Sammy, you can't say, well, I worried about what's going to happen, because it's impossible. Guys are throwing 100, something's going to happen. Usually something's going to happen. You have to accept that. What you just have to enjoy is what is happening, especially when you talk about makeup, when you talk about stuff, when you talk about work ethic, when you talk about the way that he delivers the baseball, the way that he's adapted, adjusted, and I'll say it, size. It's less torque on a guy when he's bigger. It's science.
Bradford, that's the exact reason I didn't put Jonah Tong in this trade. I think he's awesome, but I think he might be like Tim Lincecum, where the career, I'm not talking about he might get hurt. I'm talking about the career might be short. And I think that other teams might think that. You look at a guy like McLean and you're like, okay, that's a starting pitcher.
Well, let me play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bob and weave a little bit for you. I'm the Tigers. They say, all right, you know what? We'll take Nolan McLean. We'll take Jet Williams. We'll take David Peterson. But instead of Carson Bench, we want Jonah Tong. See you later.
And am I the Mets?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't do this if I were the Mets, not even my own offer. But if they're really like die hard on Skubal and they think they can get him, I honestly think this. I don't know. It's tough to say. It's tough to say who this makes more sense for. Like, the Mets would be in an awesome spot, and they'd probably feel really confident that they could extend a guy who a lot of people say is the best pitcher on the planet. But then again, what if they don't? Now you've lost your top 2 pitching prospects along with your number 1 hitting prospect.
The thing is,
all-star.
I just look at it with the Tigers. It's like, okay, if you have the money, where the Tigers end up in payroll, like middle of the pack this year, I think.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I don't
Right.
have it in front of me.
Right. So you have a lot of, but you do have controllable guys coming up. You have, like you said, Jackson Jobe. You have Max Clark. You have
McGonagall.
McGonigal. You have controllable guys, so that helps you. But if you're going to spend on one guy, it's going to be this guy. Like there are certain guys you spend on. It's going to be this guy. And maybe they take the tack that the Mets are taking, or, like the problem and that's the problem. Maybe that's the biggest problem of all. Like we say, well, if you're going to get one guy, get this one guy. The Red Sox understood that with Crochet. Other teams have understood that. The Mets have, to this point, Sammy, done the exact opposite. They've been the poster boys for we don't need to do that. We can piece it together. We can get the Sean Manayas and the David Petersons and all these guys. Maybe they're going to continue going down that road because they believe in it that strongly, or maybe they learned their lesson because there was a lesson to be learned. There was a lesson to be learned, right?
I was going to say, I agree with you. They believe in that, but it hasn't worked. So are they going to change course? They should.
So the lesson to be learned was they thought they were smarter than everybody else coming off of their run last year. Then they get to June and they have the press conference. Oh, aren't you smart? Oh, look at you. And then it completely falls apart for that exact reason. And you almost were able to salvage your season because you came across a guy who, in Nolan McLean, who represented that, but you need more than him. Anyway.
I thought the Mets plan going into 2025 was completely insane. Like Soto signing, awesome. 10 out of 10. You do that every time. I don't care how much he's getting paid. He's unbelievable. But how do you do that and then go into the season with Clay Holmes, a reliever, as now your number 2 starter?
So number 1, opening day starter.
Right, but it was supposed to be Senga would come in there and he would eventually be the one. But yeah, even worse. And every time I mentioned it, all I heard was, David Stearns. And he's a fine GM, but he's not a magician. He's not going to turn Clay Holmes into friggin' Tarik Skubal, the righty.
No.
You gotta. I hope they change course. I feel bad for Mets fans, like producer Evan, who dedicate their lives to this team and they're sold on, hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then you get Soto, and that's basically it. Hey, we got Sean Manaea. Does that fire you up, pal? Great.
You know what? Another example of this is what's going on in the postseason, which is I would love, Tarik Skubal was going to be that guy. He was going to be the guy who he said, get on my back. When I pitch, you got Skubal coming up. Good luck. Now, even the Tigers robbed us of that because he had that game and they took him out. I understood you got through the 15th inning, but you took him out. I still think to this moment in the postseason, maybe the best move by a manager was Alex Cora allowing Garrett Crochet to pitch 119 pitches.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was, talk about a risk. It worked though.
Because what are we seeing? Gosman, 76 pitches. And what does that do? You get to that point where the bullpen isn't equipped to handle that. You get to that point where the guys after you pitching you after that, which we saw with Toronto, where you had your number 1, your guy that was supposed to be that guy, not allowed to be that guy, and because you didn't allow him to be that, then you have to lean on your Savage, and he's not equipped to be that guy. 70 pitches, and then you have guys after that. And this is my overall point was, if the Mets got to that point, they could have said, oh, Nolan McLean. But what would they have done? They would have done exactly what Toronto did. 70 pitches.
And at some point you have to look, when you have a guy like Crochet, like you mentioned, you think, what is this guy's job? It's the get on my back. I am the horse. I am the ace of this team. Let me win this game for you. And Cora understood that assignment. And I'm not saying it's always the right move to let a guy go like that. But if you're the Mets, you can't do that. You don't have that guy. So that's why you do consider a crazy, I'm telling you, the trade idea I have is crazy. It is unrealistic, but that's because Tarik Skubal is that good. You don't see guys like that get traded hardly ever. And credit to the Red Sox, by the way. That's how you acquire an ace. You identify a guy with ace upside. You acquire him for a reasonable price and then let him become the guy you think he is. That was perfect.
Yeah, but here's, and I'm with you about everything. But let's not also underestimate what makes this trickier than the Crochet deal. It's because you have 1 year left.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Crochet had two. Yeah.
and he's that, and Skubal is that much closer to free agency. And the last time we saw this level of player, a Scott Boras level of player, do this, execute this, get traded to a team, they wrote it out. The Yankees, they wrote it out. They weren't able to sign him, and they lost him. I still say it was a good trade for the Yankees. I said this to Gordo, and I've said it a million times. There's been no bad deals with Juan Soto. Every deal he's been involved in, every team has done well. Every team. So
yeah, so there's like a small class, small caliber of guys that you kind of throw aside all your not values as a franchise, but your internal rules and stuff where you kind of throw and I not it's not apples to apples, but it's a good example of kind of like throwing out all the beliefs of a franchise. And this is when you told me it's when the Rangers acquired Max Scherzer. And sure, it wasn't Max Scherzer. He wasn't in his prime, but Chris Young, the GM, identified a guy like this is a guy that we need. We're going to do whatever it takes to get him, even if it goes against all of our graphs and spreadsheets that we have internally. Like this is not the same thing with Skubal going to the Mets, but this is kind of a like throw it all out the window. This guy is a mother effer. Like we need this. And
yeah,
so
well, go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to.
So if a team is gonna make a trade for a guy like Tarik Skubal, and again, I don't think he's gonna get moved. I think the Tigers are gonna run it back. But if it does happen on the off chance, I think the return is gonna be like 150 to 200% of what people think an expiring contract on a pitcher, even at Skubal's level, really should be. It's going to look like a gross overpay because the Tigers have not no reason, but very little reason to move him aside from he's on an expiring contract. And by the way, I mentioned this earlier, but that little window you get of exclusive negotiating rights, it's a tough sentence.
Exclusivity.
Exclusivity. The exclusivity window, I think that's valuable too, especially for a guy like Steve Cohen, which is part of why I chose the Mets, because they're one of the few teams I could see just not mortgaging the future, but close to mortgaging the future for a guy like Skubal.
It's all good points. And also, maybe Boras is a little more accepting because it is a pitcher. Like it is a pitcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's going to, you have a pretty good idea what's going to happen with Soto. You don't know what's going to happen with any pitcher. The most superhuman pitcher. You don't know.
It's like baseball cards. Do you know that pitching baseball cards, like rookies, are less valuable than hitting baseball cards for the most part because hitters are so much more projectable?
Do they still give out gum in baseball cards?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It is amazing. It was the most disgusting gum of all time. Yet still, it was still part of the payoff. You still chew that gum no matter what. You still chew that gum no matter what.
You see the video of the guy from a few years ago who found an old pack of baseball cards in his attic and he chewed the gum and it was like chalk? I'll send it to you.
It disintegrated in his mouth.
Yeah, it was funny. The guy has a very thick Boston accent, which made the video funny. He's like, "Dude, this is gross, man. What are you doing?"
It's kind of like,
I'll send it to you.
It's kind of like with Cracker Jacks. The thing that they give, like in a Cracker Jacks, it's like they could basically give a I don't even know, like a piece of paper. This is
what it is, right?
Well, it can be anything. It can be a compass. They used to give compasses. It didn't matter. It was like, oh, you got this for free. It's awesome. What a treat.
Compass.
Yeah,
I can use a compass.
I got a compass. It was definitely worth paying all this money for this massive amount of sugar because I got a compass too.
Yeah, you got to go to the dentist, but you can use the compass to get to the dentist.
It'll show you the direction to the dentist / ultimately the cemetery. Anyway, on that note, all right. Thank you. Good job with everything. Thank you.